I think we would agree on that every human is created equally and deserves to be treated with respect. And so that is the main premise of this video and of the things we're going to talk about, and why we don't do these things and why we don't tolerate these things. Alright, so let's just get on into it. So the first red flag that we're going to talk about is this whole idea that I will change for you, or the you make me better manipulative trope. They don't want to love you, they want to control you. If they say, oh, I will change for you, a lot of times they don't really mean it. I have had guys tell me once they figure out that I don't date men unless they are strong Christian men, I will try for you. And I think guys, at least the guys who have talked to me, they thought that that was what I wanted to hear. But really all I heard when they said that was, I don't care enough about God to change my life because he is calling me to, but I care enough to get in your pants. That's what I hear. Also, the you make me better trope, or people who say, I will die without you. People who say, I can't survive without you.
I would die for Riley.
Oh, listen to all these Inside Out references. I'm on a roll. People who are that dependent on another person for their own sanity means that they're not actualized as a person. And I think that that's why this trope shows up so much in middle school and high school and early college years, is because people are still trying to figure out who they are. And so many times we tie our identity to the person that we're with or the person that we're dating. And I think a lot of times when people say, you make me better, you can't leave me, they're just trying to keep you around to make you feel like you would be responsible for any mishap that happens to them from you exiting their life. Every time you hear me say manipulative in this video, take a shot of grape juice. And I say grape juice because the next thing we're going to talk about is substance abuse. I am not here to tell you that drinking alcohol is bad. I'm not here to tell you that smoking weed is bad.
We're not good for you because it makes you lazy. Come on, let's do it together and we can go to a party. Dude. No! I don't like taking those drugs.
I am here to say that substance abuse in any form is bad and damaging and exhibits someone who has no self-control, or a very limited amount of self-control, someone who doesn't prioritize their lives and their goals more than their own selfish instant gratification. And sometimes people turn to different substances because they have something deeply troubling that they went through or traumatizing that they went through. But that is a huge cry for help, and that is a huge sign that someone is not probably in the right place to be in a romantic relationship. Maybe choosing not to be in a relationship with them not because they are hurting you, but because you want to do what's best for them. And isn't that what being in a romantic relationship is all about? So the third big red flag are multiple wise people in your life disapproving of this relationship. We need to be better. We don't need to be the kind of people who are so focused on proving that we're grown up enough to make our own decisions that we don't listen to the advice of those who love us and care about us. It is not proving anything about yourself to make your own decisions all the time. It takes a frickin' village, and the older I get, the more I realize how much I need the older and wiser people in my life to help me and weigh in on my life decisions, because if you're worried about your independence, it still is going to be your decision. So you might as well get the insight from people who have been there before. And then number 4 is God is not their top priority. Now this can manifest itself in different ways. Some people are really, really sneaky. Some people are in church every single Sunday and Wednesday. They're doing all the right things, saying all the right things, raising their hands and closing their eyes at the right moments. What this really is talking about is if they have a shallow relationship with Christ, if they avoid fellowship, or they don't prioritize in time in the Word ever. I'm not gonna mess up my status quo and the good thing that I've got going on right now for just anyone. I need someone who loves God more than anything else in this world. When we love God more than anything else in this world, then we love his people. And I don't expect any man worth my attention would expect anything less from me. So changing positions again. Number 5, are they disrespectful to you, your family, or others? If he does it to others, he's going to eventually do it to you if he doesn't already. If she does it to others, and she doesn't do it to you right now, she's going to eventually. You know, how someone treats their mama, how someone treats their daddy is eventually how they're going to treat you. Because a lot of times when people are dating in the beginning, they're putting their best foot forward and they're being the most on their guard. You can't love God's people without respecting them, because then it comes off as seeing someone as less than, and that's just not the way that God operates. And so also pay attention to how they talk about people behind their backs, and look how they treat anyone, not just their mom. Look how they treat waiters at restaurants. Look at how they treat servicemen. Look at how they treat the people who society says are the least of these. Jesus says, whatever you do for the least of these, you do for me. Even if they don't verbalize it, they think that they're better than them, and that is the most unattractive thing in the whole wide world. I have this much patience and tolerance for arrogance. It is like, I can't stand it.
I can't stand it!
I can't stand it!
Number 6, if they're trying to talk to you while they're still in a relationship with someone else, the only thing I have to say about this is if they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you. That's just the gospel truth. Something that also goes into this is if they're trying to talk to you when they have only been out of a relationship for a very short amount of time, because you're most likely a rebound, even if they don't know it. That is not a solid footing to start off on a relationship. If they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you. Number 7, this is less about behavior that they're doing and more about behavior that you're doing. This comes into play when we are interested in someone who is not a believer. You can't save him. Men, you cannot save her. Evangel dating doesn't work. Missionary dating, whatever you want to call it, does not work. This is not a walk to remember.
I told you not to.
Everyone wants to assume that they are the exception to the rule. You are the rule. Maybe there's going to be someone who watches this and thinks, well, I mean, I was the exception to the rule. Like, you know, this kind of thing that normally doesn't work out actually worked out for me. Good for you. But seeking out to be treated as extra special and getting ourselves into these problematic situations and expecting them to turn out just great doesn't normally happen. Let's move on to number 8. Number 8 is gaslighting. The absolute worst. It sucks. Gaslighting, manipulating someone by psychological means into doubting their own sanity. This is based on the 1938 play and 1944 film adaptation called Gaslight, where the protagonist has been slowly manipulated his wife into believing that she's going mad. So the 9th red flag we're going to talk about is kind of heavy, and it's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about because it makes people uncomfortable, but I think it needs to be talked about, especially amongst women. So here we go. We're going to talk about porn addiction. And honestly, viewing porn in general, because I think that it is really damaging and it's very highly addictive. Many people think that porn and masturbation are just placeholders until marriage, or that real Christians can't struggle with this for some reason, and that they won't be tempted by it when they are finally married and can have sex, but that's not true. You can't love someone enough to will your sin away. That's not how it works. So if you think they're holier than the other people, you know, you are wrong. Because 1 in 5, according to Covenant Eyes, 1 in 5 youth pastors and 1 in 7 senior pastors use porn on a regular basis and are currently struggling. That's more than 50,000 U.S. church leaders. That is just proof that there are humans in the church and that we are not doing enough to come alongside our brothers to help them into overcoming this sin, that we're just letting it slide under the rug. 43% of senior pastors and youth pastors say they have struggled with pornography in the past. 64% of Christian men and 15% of Christian women say they watch porn at least once a month. And this is only reported. That statistic of 15% of women say they watch porn at least once a month, I almost can guarantee you that that statistic is actually higher. But women, there's so much more of a stigma tied to women watching pornography than men. If you're someone who struggles with this, or you're in a relationship with someone who struggles with this, it is never beyond the point of no return. But that is a huge red flag. Especially if they're not willing to stop. They love that sin more than they love you, and more disturbingly, they love that sin more than they love God. So let's move on. Number 10, the next red flag is if they have a history of cheating or rapid fire relationships, as in they are, like, I've heard it described as serial monogamous, that they just go from relationship to relationship to relationship. Back to the cheating. What have we learned? If he'll do it, with you, he'll do it. Everybody! To you! It's always a gamble, I guess, but the chances that they're going to stop when it comes to you are kind of slim. And then with the rapid fire relationships, some people like the excitement of the beginnings of a relationship, but it's hard for them to be vulnerable and open enough to continue to build a relationship to the point where it is committed enough and strong enough to lead to something more. And so then the next big red flag is if you disagree on really big things like religion, kids, marriage, life goals,
etc., etc., etc.
This won't magically resolve itself when you get married. And this last one, is he or she hurting you? I want to be really, really clear. So I wrote out a whole entire thing. Is he or she knocking you down with either their words or their hands? Girls, boys, ladies, gentlemen, women, men, hear me. If you are in a relationship with someone and they have breached your trust repeatedly by assaulting you with either their physical or verbal power, get out. You owe them absolutely nothing. Get out. If you've been dating for 10 years, you owe them absolutely nothing if they are hurting you in that way. We are all about redemption here. There's no question about that at all. You would not be giving up on them by leaving. But you can love someone with the love of Christ, desire his best for them, and forgive them, but yet still understand that it is unsafe for you and or your children and loved ones to be around them. Trust is the most expensive thing that can be exchanged between humans in this world, and it can bankrupt a relationship if it is lost. If they're cheating on you repeatedly, get out. Any unwanted touching, intercourse, that is sexual assault and or rape. I know redemption is possible. I know multiple cases of different couples in different forms of infidelity who have repented of their ways and really turned their lives around. And now their marriage is stronger than ever because the forgiveness of Christ truly permeates everything. But the difference between a relationship that is salvageable and one that's not are a couple of things. The first, most important, is their repentance. Not just guilt, not just I'm so sorry, but conviction. Turn 180 degrees and to walk the other direction. I'm not married, so I'm looking at this from the perspective of choosing the kind of man that I want to marry. Marriage is a sacred bond. They're supposed to be your partner. If they value their own selfish desires above honoring you, then serving the Lord is not their top priority if they are not honoring you. Like we said before, trust is the most expensive thing in the world in a human-to-human relationship, and we must treat it like it's the most valuable gift that we can give to a person. And so that means that you don't give it lightly. So that is pretty much it for this video. I don't really know how to end it because I knew this was going to be serious, but it kind of ended up being a little bit more draining than I thought it would be. These red flags are things that we avoid or turn away from or don't notice because we want to expect the best from people. This stuff happens, and it happens a lot, and it affects a lot of people, and it sucks, and it's horrible. but God says, take heart, for I have overcome the world. Hebrews 6:19 says, we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. Psalm 23 talks about how we have this steadfast love in our relationship with God. If you have been through any of these things that we talked about, and you found that maybe this video made you a little bit upset, or you find that you're not really over it, therapy has really helped me, and I think that it's something that everyone should at least try. Find someone that you trust and who you love, and talk these things out. I desire for you to be the best follower of Christ that you can be this side of heaven. First one was so fun. This one is so... oof. Yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you would like to begin to learn how to start seeking help, I will include some resources down below in the description box. Alright, see y'all in the next video. Bye.